Hello guys, welcome to another session. So here we will be discussing a question related to Parsons' concept of moving equilibrium. Okay, so let's see the question first and then we will come back. So let me share the screen. So guys, here is the question. So describe Parsons' conception of how order is maintained in the society. So this is a structure that you can follow actually. You can talk about, what primarily Parsons' orientation in sociology, and then you can point out his idea on maintenance of order in society, criticism, and conclusion. So this is mainly that moving equilibrium. That's something which you already know. We talk a lot about that, right? There are specific mechanisms, that feedback loop. Very simple. There is a block diagram. There are specific mechanisms, fulfill certain needs, bring society in equilibrium. And then if there is an equilibrium break, there will be a feedback which is given. Certain mechanisms will activate again, bring back to that, fulfill the needs at that point of time, bring society back to equilibrium. So this is the feedback loop that we were talking about, right? So here, now coming to the specific question, the way we need to answer, we will look at, so what could be the introduction that you can give? Talk about a couple of lines about Parsons, where you talk about Parsons, a prominent American sociologist, and he is known for his contributions to structural functionalism. That's, now you can talk about that perspective also. So there's a perspective that views society as a system of interrelated parts working together to maintain stability and order. Okay, and if you see, his works are deeply rooted in understanding how social systems achieve equilibrium and adapt to changes while preserving that societal order. That's what I told you, right? There are mechanisms, fulfill the needs, bring society to equilibrium, and then if there is any changes, social change which is coming, when that will change, if there is a break of any, this equilibrium, feedbacks again will be going, specific mechanism will act again. So that will address the issue and then bring back to the new society or new, adaptation. So that's how societal order is preserved. So he always emphasis or talk about, the importance of shared values, norms, and institutions in sustaining that social harmony. So here you can also talk about that AGIL framework, right? That moving equilibrium phase. When you talk about, you can also talk about AGIL phase, because otherwise not too much is there, right? So Parson developed a framework to explain how order is maintained in society through AGIL model. And the concept of value consensus, again, you can discuss. And he viewed society as a system comprising of various subsystems that perform essential functions to ensure societal stability. Guys, I don't think that I need to explain this. You can go through in YouTube itself. The video is there. I've given it in fact in YouTube itself. AGIL model, Parsons theory of system, that adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency, everything is discussed in detail. Okay, in fact, Parsons theory of social action is also, we have discussed, cybernetic hierarchy of control. All these are available here itself. So you can watch that video. So there is no point in wasting time. We can quickly go through this answer. So briefly mention about this AGIL model, adaptation. That means the system must adapt to its external environment to meet material needs. For example, the economic system that ensure the production and distribution of resources to the society or the system, right? And then goal attainment. So the system must set very clear, and you need to achieve the collective goals. So the political subsystem that establish priorities and mobilize the resources. Then integration. If the system need to survive, there must be coordination. So the interrelationship of its different parts, that actually help in that integration and also help in avoiding the conflict. For example, legal and educational institutions that promote social cohesion. Then latency, the pattern maintenance, the hidden aspect. The system, if you need to see, if it need to function properly, it need to maintain the, at the same time, it need to renew the shared values and norms. So the family and religion, in fact, reinforce cultural values and socialization. So this is something which in detail we discussed about, that you might be knowing. Very simple: adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. The metrics also we have discussed, right? And then within that, again, we have seen further systems. So that loop and everything we discussed in detail. So go through that video, guys, and the PDF also, which is given in the description. You can check out that. Now, social system and value consensus. Parsons argue that value consensus is the foundation of social order. So shared norms and values that guide the individual behavior, and that will ensure the cooperation in society. Institutions like family, education, religion in fact, playing critical roles in instilling and perpetuating these shared values and the value consensus. For example, education is not only giving you knowledge, imparting knowledge, but also inculcates certain societal norms like punctuality, discipline, etc. So that's actually the role of the latent role of education. Then coming to role of socialization and institutions. Socialization basically ensured that the individual internalized the societal norms and roles, aligning to personal behavior with societal expectations. Okay, again, institutions like family, religion act as the agents of socialization, socialization agent. When you talk about family, when you talk about religion, when you discuss the functions of family and religion, we talk about agent of socialization according to Parsons. So this actually teach individuals about their roles within the society. Right, again, mechanisms for resolving conflict. Parsons also acknowledged the inevitability of conflict, right? It should be there, but again emphasize that there are institutional mechanisms, specific mechanisms fulfill the needs. So here it could be laws, courts, police system, negotiation. All these will resolve the disputes and maintain harmony. So there are specific mechanisms, fulfill the need, resolve the issues if there is any. If there is an equilibrium break, bring back to equilibrium and maintain harmony. If there is any problem, again, feedback will come. These specific mechanisms will act again. In case if there is a need to change, there will be changes which will happen again, right? Again, Parsons also links society to a biological organism where different subsystems work together to restore the balance when it is disturbed. For example, if the economy, in case of experiencing a recession, the political system will intervene through policies to stabilize that. Okay, so again, that subsystems work together. Now, criticisms. What are the criticisms? There's a grand theory that itself is a criticism. The vagueness that itself is a criticism. This loop is a criticism. The illegitimate teleology is a criticism. All these are general, which you can write. Apart from that, overemphasis on stability, overemphasis on function, ignorance of conflict, all these you can write. So overemphasis on stability. You can say critics argue that Parsons overemphasizes harmony and stability, and he's ignoring the role of conflict and power dynamics in shaping societies. Okay, for example, Marxists, they highlight how inequality and class struggle disrupt the societal order. Again, neglect of social change. Parsons' framework, if you see, inadequately addresses rapid social changes and revolutions. It assumes that societies naturally gravitate towards equilibrium. That's not always the case, right? And general one, abstract and idealistic. Parsons' theories are considered overly abstract and removed from empirical realities. So his focus on ideal types of societal order that actually ignore or neglect the ground level complexities. Then you talk about the critique from conflict thinkers also, theorists also, like conflict theorists like C. Wright Mills, argue that Parsons failed to address how dominant group maintain power by imposing their values on others. You can talk about cultural hegemony aspect also. Okay, so again, neglect of individual agency. We use this again in multiple places. So again, critics assert that Parsons' model overlook individual autonomy and the potential for human agency to challenge the societal norms. Western bias. Okay, Parsons emphasis on value consensus and the functional prerequisites that reflects a Western perspective and may not apply universally to all the societies. So the universal application of his theory, though he's claiming that there's a grand theory, it's a universal theory, its application at the universal level is questionable, okay, because of this Western bias. Now, how can you, it's a simple question here. I don't want to talk about social system or in detail about AGIL or cybernetic hierarchy of control or the flow or anything. I don't want to even mention about social action. I basically want to talk only about that moving equilibrium. The question can be 10 marker directly moving equilibrium or how order is maintained like this. So this is a broad framework in which you need to mention or bring in your answer. Otherwise, it's a very simple, straightforward one, right? You need to add contents from whatever I have discussed, but this is a broad framework that you need to keep when you're answering the question. So guys, Parsons' conception of how order is maintained in society, that remains a cornerstone of sociological theory. It's offering systematic approach to understand the social stability, social order through shared values, institutions, and functional prerequisites. Right, he's talking about that functional prerequisites, and you can see that concept of mechanism equilibrium or the moving equilibrium is very unique concepts. and it is very helpful to understand how society is maintaining its equilibrium, how specific mechanisms, various institutions fulfill certain needs and bringing the society to equilibrium. His structural functionalism has been criticized for its idealism and lack of attention to conflict and change, but Parsons' insights into social order provide a foundational framework for analyzing societal integration or cohesion or order and the interplay of its subsystems and how they manage the system, right, altogether. So you can say, concluding far towards the end, his work highlights the enduring relevance of shared norms, values in sustaining social harmony, despite all these complexities and everything. In case, if required, you can bring in Durkheim also. Okay, so guys, that's about this session. I hope that particular question is answered. The question was related to how order is maintained in society. We did it well, right? So that's about the session. Thank you so much. If you like the video, share it with your friends also. And in case if you're looking for any test series or mentorship or the classes, check out the details in the description. Get in touch with us. So download the PDF from the description also. So see you guys. Thank you.